Thank you. Now we move on to the panel discussion.
Before I start, I would like to request all the delegates to please be ready with the question. We'll go live in a few minutes. So my first question is for ABB. You spoke about providing an end-to-end sustainability solution. How would you advise customers to start this journey?
Yeah, so part of it was also covered by Satya and Dubey in the following sessions. Yeah, I think it's important to understand where you stand today and look at what the priorities of the organization are. So measure first, basically understand, monitor what you're doing. That you can't take corrective actions unless you do that. That will give you an idea of the pain points where you need to go. And then typically what we do is engage in a quick consulting assignment where we study the current situation and advise on what can be done as well. The ROIs from these initiatives are important because as in fact a discussion did come up in the morning, you can do a lot of things, but they need to give money. In fact, Sir also brought it up in his speech. That's how businesses look at it. So there are quick wins that can be done immediately. So we start off with those and then eventually expand into other things that the organization can do once they get comfortable and look at the money.
Thank you, Mr. Krishna Kumar. My next question is for Schneider Electric. Anyone of you can take it up. How different business models in green hydrogen value chain will operate?
Okay, it's a very good question because green hydrogen is, anciently we were centrally manufacturing and then we were trying to have a transportation and distribution. Now, green hydrogen, I'll take examples of Gadkari ji that farmers can make it, or even small and medium players will be there who will be making it. And that is why it is bi-directional flow, first of all, because sometimes your consumer will become prosumer as well as the vice versa. So to get the business models right at every time, because you need to decide in running real-time business that what is the good model for me, right? And that is why I talk about the metaverse, where you can take the decision that whether I should produce green hydrogen and utilize it, or I should utilize the renewable energy or alternative energy available with me, right? The another example is like transportation, whether I should transport to Ladakh or I should generate that. So in green hydrogen, such kind of decisions you will have to take in real time. In real time I'm taking. And that can be only possible if you have all information, all inputs at one place, and you are trying to integrate and take real-time decisions. So that is how you can manage different models. Hope I have answered your question.
Thank you, Mr. Kumar. Next question is for Aviva. What regulatory trends do you see in Asia Pacific with respect to carbon emissions?
I think each region has been, each country has been going at a different pace. I think at the forefront is Singapore. They currently already have a carbon pricing of $5 per ton. Next year it's going to become $25. The following year it will be $45 and eventually setting at 50 plus kind of a thing. And this is kind of a really quite matured way of handling it, in the sense they've clearly laid down the direction for the business to make their investment decisions and all. The other countries do have a lot of schemes. India has a perform, achieve, trade scheme, which is applicable for certain sectors. They keep on iterating on it for every 5 years. PAT is more focused on energy efficiency, but ultimately impacts the energy, the CO2 also. The other countries are actively thinking about it, and basically the message from the governments and everywhere is, the message is that soon there will be some kind of a carbon pricing in most of the countries, and the businesses need to prepare themselves for it.
Thank you, Mr. Dubey. Next question is for ABB. You spoke about solutions in cement, metals, pulp and paper. So are these applicable for other industries as well?
Yeah, pretty much. I took examples of these industries today in order to look at how companies are dealing with such problems. But the problems are similar across all industries. I happen to represent the process industries part of ABB, which is the non-energy businesses, and hence I took these examples. But ABB as an organization deals with all the industries. So yes, we do serve all the industries, but similar kind of solutions that we spoke about.
Thank you. My next question is for Viva. Based on the trends of digital transformation and sustainability, how should a company start with a framework of digital transformation and decarbonization as presented by you?
Yeah, I think you had asked that question earlier. I think for that, what it clearly points to is you have to start from a baselining first. So you should make sure, and I talked about some of the regulations which are coming up in my talk as well. I think what companies should invest in is in measuring their emissions and the CO2 emissions more rigorously. Bring in some effort there instead of just relying on emission factors and things like that. Hopefully, they would be able to unify their production accounting with emissions accounting. And the next big low-hanging thing would be the efficiency. Focus on energy efficiency. Both of these would not only put you on a good path for decarbonization, but also they would give the returns. As we discussed earlier.
Thank you. My next question is for Snyder. In open automation, how can companies differentiate while they are collaborating on one single platform?
You want to take?
Can you once repeat the question?
Yeah. In open automation, how can companies differentiate while they are collaborating on one single platform?
Right. So the idea here is to keep the focus on the end customer. So when every product or every company is having different type of offerings or the differentiation in terms of technology. So ultimately, keeping the customer or end user in the focus, we can collaborate and bring the value to the end user. So ultimately, this is going to get beneficial to the country. This is what was the point Kiran was presenting in the
So
session.
on top of it, you can always, as a company and as an individual, have your intellectual built in your libraries, because we are moving from hardware-centric automation to the software-centric automation. So when you are putting software-centric automation, you can always build your libraries within your offering, and those library, how much benefit given to end customer, based on that you can charge it. And that is how you can differentiate also while you are integrating, and also add value to the end customer.
Now we would like to go for live audience. I would request all the delegates to please introduce yourself and address the question to whom you are asking, followed by a short question. Be brief in your question.
Hi, it's Akash Shukla from BPCL. The question for open automation, that one basic query is, I'll give you an example. We are using Microsoft tools. I am having a Windows Server OS. On top of that, I am running SQL Server. If some application is behaving very slow, and we log a call, what happened? OS guy comes from the same organization. He says, "मेरा काम हो गया. ये SQL Server का issue है." Other person came. They say, "अरे मेरा दिक्कत नहीं है. Just check with the patches." So all those things is happening with Microsoft. And it's a general pain point which we are facing. So now when we talk about this open OPEC, basically, how the entire ecosystem will be built, because now we are talking about DCS vendors. Again, thanks to ARC, you have gathered all 3-4 big people, and which we as a IT/OT integrators, we are facing a lot of issues. So just a quick thought about that, how we are going to integrate all of them in a single platform.
Yeah. So should I answer? Okay. So on OPAF, if you want to go ahead, like it's open, you can say platform. So Microsoft example, you take very good example. When Satya becomes the Microsoft CEO, the first thing he said, we'll go out of Windows. Then people were looking at him, this is our biggest revenue generator. It's my pockets are full because of I have Windows running on millions and billions of the PCs. And then we are talking about coming out of that and transforming to cloud and others, right? So it's a journey. Every company does it. So when you have a monopoly, I'll tell you, people will dictate you. And that's why I talk about the open process automation. Nobody can dictate you. You have multiple choice, right? If one vendor is not giving you what you want, you have real-time ability to ship to other. And that's the beauty of this. Because then people will be striving to solve the challenge of the consumer rather than taking royalty-based payments from customer, right? So that's the short answer. Have I answered you? Yep, sure. Okay.
Yeah, Sheshadri from AB Group. This question is directed to Mr. Krishna Kumar of ABB. Of late, there's been a lot of transmission losses in energy. Do you have something to mitigate and monitor this energy losses and set it right?
To have a very short thing, you should have come to our booth, because I would have to probably take some more details, and we have our experts there. In short basis, what I have done, yes, you can monitor these losses, and that comes on the electrification side of what ABB does. So I will invite you to our booth. The short answer is yes, but probably have some details in terms of what the exact problem is. And unfortunately, I am not the expert on the electrification side. So. Yeah.